Hi, everybody. I am back once again to cover a Lethal Weapon film. This time, the third one, which naturally always means it's the best one. Spoiler alert, I think this one is probably my least favorite of the franchise. Yeah. Now, to be fair, a lot of this is based on seeing them as a kid. I always saw the first one, the second one, and the fourth one. Those are always the ones I saw. Like I even recorded the fourth one off of TV, and we picked up the first and second one on VHS. That's how old I am, kids. So never really saw this one too much. Every once in a while I'd see it, and I never liked it because I always saw it on TV. So, but though, does this one hold up? I think so, but not as well as the first two. Now let me kind of get into that. Some of it I really enjoy. Some of it is a kick in the shins. So the opening I love. Like this is the best 5-10 minutes of a Lethal Weapon opening ever. Now, I mean, in the first one, all right, we got a really pretty blonde topless lady who jumps off a building. Okay, that's interesting. We get a car chase in the second one. That's cool. It's full of comedy, some action. It's good. This one has a James Bond style opening, fire spreading across like a black surface, really good music, starring, written by, produced, directed. Once again, Joel Silver returned to produce, Richard Donner returned to direct, and the entire cast is back. Like I don't think we lost a single primary or secondary actor throughout this entire franchise. I'll get to that. But opening, bomb threat, buildings evacuated, bomb in there, and then once again we're cemented in who Riggs and Murtaugh are. Murtaugh is the he is literally 1 week from retirement. He is not going to take risks. He's got a family to go home to. He's good. There's no reason he needs to go in there. He's fine. Whereas Riggs is full of crocodile hunter energy and wants to go and poke what's probably not a bomb with a stick. Spoiler alert, it's an actual bomb and it's a big one. And they have a lot of quips back and forth because Riggs is just screwing with him, with Murtaugh, left, right, and center. Like I can totally dismantle this, or we can drive it out. Like he's bouncing off all these ideas, and Roger's like, "No, we're gonna just leave. We're just gonna go." And then Riggs like, "Oh, well, let's just cut a wire." Like let's do. Like, it's definitely the red wire, probably the blue wire. Let's cut the blue wire. Maybe red is fire. It's definitely that one. And then he cuts a wire. I honestly couldn't even tell you which one it is. Even the characters couldn't tell you which one it is, but it's the wrong one. Timer hits like a minute and it's winding down fast. They get out as it goes up. Whole building comes down as the bomb squad is literally showing up. So the guys who could have dealt with it, who Riggs kept saying we're going to be 20 minutes late, actually showed up early. Probably could have done something. And another huge testament to Richard Donner. The like I said in the last one, the Stilt House. They actually tore one down, and there was actually a building demolished, not for the movie. It was just already going to come down in Florida, I believe, and they were like, "Hey, we kind of want a building to come down in this movie. Would you mind if we borrowed some building exploding?" So all of that practical right there. I've heard that there are some mild goofs in there. If you actually pay attention, you can see people standing where they probably shouldn't be. But this is unlike the white shoes in the first one. This one goes right under my radar. I never notice it because I'm watching my heroes run out of a building as it's exploding. So the rule of cool applies on this one. Whereas the white shoes will always and forever be a thorn in the side of this franchise to me. So Riggs and Murtaugh get demoted, luckily, because they happen to see an armored car robbery. They pursue. One guy gets away because Murtaugh's following him in heavy traffic and he just happens to slip away. The other guy ends up going through a windshield. Riggs arrests him. And little fun fact for any Supernatural fans, the guy who goes through the windshield is Mark Pellegrino, who plays Lucifer in Supernatural. So I totally forgot he was even in this. I think I was on like season 8 or 9 of Supernatural was airing at the time. I having to rewatch this. I was like, holy crap, I'm pretty sure that's him. So it's a nice little hey moment. which actually brings us to our big bad of the film, Jack Travis, played by Stuart Wilson, who is very good in this film as a classical villain with a mustache, and he just looks like a villain, like a really good villain. Having said that, he will always and forever be the bad guy from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, because once again, I'm old. So naturally, Jack Travis doesn't want his guy to talk in police custody. So Travis, being an ex-cop, sneaks into the police department and shoots Billy right there in the interrogation room. Now, while he's doing all this, Riggs and Murtaugh are trying to talk to him too, but they get held up by a new character, Lorna Cole, played by Renee Russo, who absolutely is a breath of life in this film. She does so well, so spectacular. Well, Riggs and Murtaugh get re-promoted back to, I believe it's lieutenant or sergeant. It's one of the two. I don't know a lot about police hierarchy, so please don't hold that one against me. And while they're doing that, Travis gets in and out. They find out, oh hey, our suspect is dead. Who could have done it? Oh, it's this guy, Jack Travis, an ex-cop, an ex-very, very dirty cop. Like, he is, when you hear about a bad cop story, like this cop is dirty, he is not as dirty as this guy. This guy has got manila folders full of the coordinates where you can find other folders full of all the complaints against this guy. That's how bad he is. And now I gotta mention Leo, because Leo was a last minute write-in for the script. Because, hey, if you can have Joe Pesci in your movie, have Joe Pesci in your movie. Like, he kills it every single time. He's playing a realtor who's trying to sell the Murtaugh family home, because once Roger retires, they're done, they're gonna move. And he's just kind of there. He points out he knows Jack Travis. They go to a hockey game to catch him. Travis shoots Leo in the arm and gets away. Pretty pointless scene, honestly. It feels so much like filler. And then Leo's out of the movie for the next half hour, 40 minutes. Well, Riggs and Murtaugh are trying to figure out what's going on when, of course, there's got to be something new. When they caught the guys in the armored car thing, they were loaded with armor-piercing bullets. It goes right through a police issue vest. So it's a really big uh-oh moment, because they're kind of setting up that Murtaugh's probably going to end up dead in this one. Now, he's only a week from retirement. It could be bad. And he's wearing a vest because his wife, his family are like, no, you're almost out. You're going to watch your P's and Q's. Like, she even gets on Riggs, like, hey, watch him. Like, you're the crazy one. You need to watch him. And so Riggs and Murtaugh are trying to figure out what to do when Riggs sees some gang members all loaded. He confronts him, gets knocked out. Shootout ensues with somebody in a building. Roger shows up, finishes the shootout, kills the guy. Come to find out, it was just a teenager, a young adult, who was friends with his son, Nick. Now, Nick hasn't been a character we've really paid a whole lot of attention to. He's kind of comes in, plays the son, and then he's good. But we do get a nice scene at the beginning where he's talking to some gang members in a car, and when they see the cops come in, they bounce, they leave. But Nick is he's not like, oh, why'd you have to, I was talking to my friends, dad. Very much not like that. Very kind, very courteous. He's the kind of guy that if he knocked on your door to take your daughter somewhere, you're like, all right, cool. If you guys are going to stay out past 10, just call. He's very clear-cut, very good kid. Instantly get that from the actor. Like, it's perfect. Well, now Roger has killed somebody who's probably been in his house, who is a friend of his son's, and he's a kid. Like, this is all bad, and he can't take it. Even when he goes home that night, he's no, and leaves. And Riggs instantly does what I think is definitely the right thing, especially in this case. He calls ahead. He tells Trish, hey, here's what happened today. He's on his way home. You need to be ready for this. This is how he's doing. So it's not, he doesn't have to come in and re-explain it. I've been in situations like that where where somebody is affected by something, you do not want them to have to keep telling it. Because it's constantly going through them. They don't want to retell it. And now we kind of get into what I think is a very good part of the film, but it's also a kick in the shins. And that is Riggs and Lorna teaming up to find Jack Travis. Now, once again, Rene Russo and Mel Gibson are have great chemistry on screen, and especially as these two characters, because she is just as silly and goofy. She'll quip at him just as fast as he can quip at her, and she never gets rattled. She never gets shaken. Like, perfect, like just spectacularly good. They start tracking it down, end up finding some stolen guns, end up in a fight, get beat up a bit, go back to her place to bandage themselves up. Then they start having a who's got a better scar off. He, of course, has the leg wound from the last one, the bullet scars in his back from the last one. She's like, oh, well, I got, a shotgun blast. I got a wooden bullet. It was a through and through. And then when he's taking his pants off to show her the leg scar, she's like, no, all right, you win. And he's like, no, if I'm going to win, I'm going to win rightly. And then they end up hooking up. Next scene is Rianne coming to Riggs. I believe it was just in the director's cut, which I'm really glad they actually had that scene, because otherwise it doesn't make a lot of sense why Riggs would show up at Roger's boat. But she tells him, hey, Dad hasn't been home in like 2 days. Like, you got to do something. Riggs goes to the boat and confronts him. And this is my favorite scene in the film. Like, I've got no qualms about it, because this is the kind of scene you want in a trilogy, at the end of a trilogy. Because at the end of a trilogy, like, you generally want to tell one continuous story. Where are our characters now compared to then? And this is definitely that scene. And the scene I'm specifically talking about is the scene in the first one where Riggs and Murtaugh are having their screaming match about Riggs being suicidal, about him just being done. And that's where Roger's at. He's broken. He's done. He's completely 3 sheets to the wind drunk. And he's mad. He's mad at the world. He's mad at the circumstance. He's mad at everything. He even digs in on Riggs, because if it would have been him, he wouldn't have cared. It wouldn't have bothered him. But Riggs has to tell him, like, no, this is it. This even now it affects me, because it's you. It's what affects you affects me, because we're partners, we're friends, we're brothers, that's how close we've become. Which I really think is a nice nod to everything, because in the first one, Riggs was in such a dark place, and it was through his friendship with Roger, through his family, that Riggs was able to come out of it into a better place. And like Riggs tells him, I've got 3 beautiful kids. I love them, and they're yours. I've got a wife who does my laundry. She's yours. Your life is my life. I live in your pantry. This is... And Riggs just even has his own little breakthrough moment of, when you retire, you're not retiring you, you're retiring us. And he's just afraid that this family that has completely accepted him, even at his darkest moment, who saved him, absolutely saved him, is going to be taken away. And that's a nice little moment where Riggs acknowledges that he's afraid, he's worried, like he doesn't want to lose this, and he's losing it right here, right now, because Roger can't get out of this dark place. And they finally have this breakthrough moment of Roger acknowledging, I never thought about that. I never realized that. But, you don't have to worry about that. I'm always going to be here. We'll never stop being friends. And they have that really nice, we're good friends moment.